We will now call the business session of December 1st, 2020 to order at 6:25 p.m. I apologize, everyone, that we're running a little late tonight. On March 16th, 2020, the governor suspended various provisions of the Open Meetings Act pursuant to his state of disaster authority. The change was effective on March 16th, 2020 until further notice or until the state of disaster declaration expires. In accordance with physical distancing guidelines and while providing as much transparency as possible, this meeting will not be open to the public. This meeting is being broadcast live at WCC.tv. The audio is also being recorded. The video and audio recordings will be available to the public. According to the governor and attorney general, statutes that may require face-to-face interaction between members of the public and public officials are suspended, provided, however, that the governmental body offers alternative methods of communication with public officials. This includes public comment on agenda items. In an effort to allow for as much public input as possible, those who wish to submit their written comments on a listed agenda item were asked to submit their comments to the city secretary's office by 11 a.m. today. The city secretary will read into the record the comments submitted for the items on the agenda at the appropriate time. Individuals who registered to speak on a public hearing item will be allowed to speak remotely for 3 minutes. There are no public hearings on tonight's agenda. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And next on the agenda is to consider the minutes for the November 17th, 2020 regular and special council meeting. Are there any corrections? The minutes will stand approved as presented. The next item to consider is the consent agenda. We have received a comment card for agenda items 2020-853. City Secretary, please read the public comments as received for the resolution.
Yes, sir. For 2020-863, make sure my volume's on. We received a comment from Alan Northcutt, MD, and he states that conveying our meeting through written comments is not optimal. I would request that the comments be read to include numbering, quotation marks, etc., to help convey our thoughts accurately. Further, I suggest the city establish a call number so that citizens may record their comments in their own voices prior to council meetings. It is accurate that there is no commercially available full electric vehicle EV that includes a package of police accessories. And it is important to remember that a hybrid vehicle does emit greenhouse gases while an EV does not. The city of Hyattsville, Maryland overcame their lack of availability through innovation. Hyattsville thus added the necessary police lights and computer, etc., to the standard Chevy Bolt around 2017 and found this to be a very satisfactory solution. The hybrid Interceptor being considered today is about $52,000, while the 2021 Chevy Bolt is about $38,000. I suspect the $14,000 price difference would be adequate to make the needed modifications to the Bolt. And beyond purchase prices, Hyattsville found that compared to a Ford Interceptor, the Bolt saved about $16,000 on fueling cost over 5 years. The total life savings would be greater as the lower maintenance cost of the Bolt were not included. See the Hyattsville report of this Bolt police vehicle in the attached file. And council members, you should have received that earlier this afternoon. We wish to preserve a livable planet for our children and grandchildren and for all the citizens of Waco. But we cannot electrify transportation by continuing to do the same thing. Rather than buying 90 more greenhouse gas emitting police vehicles, this is an opportunity to try a clean, non-emitting Bolt EV modified for police specifications and likely save money on life cycle cost. Further, almost any non-pursuant support vehicle used for administration, records, or public parking patrol can be replaced now with several of the 33 EV models for sale in the United States, in the US.
Is there a motion?
Mayor, Council, I think we had one more comment card.
Oh, okay.
On this item from Teresa Porter through the Heart of Texas Electric Auto Association. I won't bore you with a long-winded speech, but I will say both the Tesla Model Y and the Tesla Model X are more than capable of meeting the needs of the police department. The Tesla Model Y has 68 cubic feet of cargo space, and the Model X has 88 cubic feet of cargo space, plus the cool factor of the gull-lane doors. Both cars are capable of accommodating all sizes of officers, including those over 6 feet 7 inches and over 250 pounds. You will save approximately $2,500 per car immediately because you won't need to save approximately $2,500. By a dash cam. The cars came with 8 Sentry cameras already installed. 3 police departments in the U.S. have used EVs for at least 1 year, and they all have experienced lower maintenance costs, significantly lower fueling costs, and an increase in positive public relations. Your report mentions these vehicles run in a full 24-hour day. I find it hard to believe these vehicles are key on engine running the full 24 hours. I'm sure that they get turned off for an hour or two each shift during officers' lunches, breaks, jail bookings, and report writing. While an EV may not fully charge during the hour or two, unless it's plugged into a fast charger, the time it spends on the charger will top it off and keep it going. If you're only driving 67 miles a day, I'm sure a vehicle with a range of over 200 miles would be able to meet your needs with the occasional top off. I can do 100 miles a day in my 2016 Leaf with a 30-minute fast charge halfway through the day. I have limited myself to 3 attachment links that I would really like for you to look at, and Mayor and Council, those were also forwarded to you. The Fremont, California has released their first year report on its Tesla Model S85. 2, Hyattsville, Maryland has installed a few public charging stations since they began using the Chevy Bolt, an electric motorcycle, in 2017. And most importantly, 3, the Tesla Life YouTube channel, episode 166, recently interviewed Chief Todd Bertman with the Bergensville, Indiana Police Department. It's a very educational 48 minutes, and I strongly encourage you to watch all the way to the very end. If the link doesn't work, you can find it on your YouTube by searching Tesla Life 166. I know 48 minutes is a big ask, but please watch it. Thank you. Mayor, Council, that is all I have for this item.
Thank you, Esmeralda. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Is there not room for discussion?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's room for discussion. Is there any discussion?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. First, I would just like to say I appreciate both of the residents writing in and offering specific cities that they're referencing and specific models. I think us being able to look at and learn from what other municipalities is doing is a huge gift to us and an investment of their time. So I appreciate that. Bradley, I'd be curious, do you know if city staff has looked into any of these specific models that were referenced in either of these comment cards?
We have, and actually the Fremont, California report that was that came out, I believe the week of Thanksgiving, is one of the ones that I referenced in the manager's report earlier. It's very comprehensive. It's a year's worth of information. It has a lot of the pros that the citizen comment mentioned, and it also has some cons listed in that report that I referenced earlier. But as you said, we very much are listening to those comments we've continued to get, and I believe there is a place for EVs in our fleet. It just isn't starting with frontline police vehicles.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Palmer.
Nay.
Porterud.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Mayor Meek.
Yes, that motion carries.
I'm glad you left.
2020-853 was also removed from the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to reiterate what I said during the work session. For me, this project is a prime example of companies that we would love to incentivize that are coming into Waco, increasing the average wage for our constituency. I mean, we have 121 permanent full-time jobs, of which those 93% are at least $15 an hour. All positions should have insurance. The overall wage is $44,500, $100 million in investment in real and personal property. I think this checks all the boxes that it's one of council's goals is to really increase the minimum wage of our city. And so for that, I am in favor of this resolution.
This is
Other
Holmes. I'll
comments?
just echo exactly what Mayor Pro Tem Sabito said. I'm in full support of this resolution. I know the collective economic development team of the county and the city and the chamber have done hard work to get it to this point. So I'm in support.
With this one, again, echoing what both of y'all had said, I think that there are some massive wins for us in this deal. I also want to say, on the other hand, this is a really significant investment for us on a city and county level. So would love to see us take this completely across the finish line in future deals of getting 100% of those jobs over that $15 an hour mark.
Any other discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes. Also, 2020-854 was removed from the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Is there a motion?
Move
I'll
for
move for
approval.
approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Yes.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes. That motion carries. The consent agenda consists of resolutions 2020-852 through 2020-867, with the exceptions of resolutions 2020-863, 853, and 854. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion for approval for the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Yes.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes. That motion carries, and now we will move on to the ordinances. There are 6 ordinances for consideration tonight. The first ordinance is ordinance 2020-868, and Councilmember Borderood, Palmer, and I have filed affidavits of interest on this item.
2020-868, ordinance of the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, amending Article 9, Municipal Settings Designation, and Chapter 26, Utilities, to add a new Division 3 to prohibit the use of groundwater in designated areas generally described as all property and reinvestment zone for tax increment financing numbers 1, 2, and 3, and 2 groups of properties in East Waco that adjoin TIF 1. Renumbering or relettering certain provisions as necessary, providing for a penalty, providing for an effective date, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing for an inclusion in the code, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed, open to the public as required by law. This ordinance comes to council on first reading.
Is there a motion?
I move for approval on first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Councilmember, that was Mayor Pro Tem Sabido, correct?
Yes.
I can do the roll call now. Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
We filed
He
a,
doesn't.
Oh.
Is this?
is just
Hector and Andre.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
got it.
that motion carries. We'll now move on to ordinance 2020-869.
An ordinance, I'm sorry.
I believe that there are comments for this one as well. As this one will read?
Yes, sir, there is. We received a comment from David Peter. He really wanted to be available to respond to questions that the council may have, but he did submit one sentence. He said, "I want to thank the city staff for working with us on this first phase of the Park Meadows South development and the contemplated phase annexation into the city of Waco. We look forward to its conclusion and to presenting each phase for annexation as we develop the remainder of the community." And again, he provided his cell phone in case that there needed to be, if you had questions.
Very good.
An
Jennifer?
An ordinance providing for the extension of certain boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas, and the annexation and designation of urban residential as the comprehensive plan land use designation, and the designation of R1B single-family residential district zoning of a certain territory described as 1, a tract of land containing approximately 61.51 acres of land, more or less, situated in and being a part of the BBB and C RY survey, abstract number 157, McLennan County, Texas, and being part of a called 194.45 acre tract described in a deed to WBW Single Land Investment LLC, Series 104. Recorded in document number 2019-028303 of the official records of McLennan County, Texas, and being located near the intersection of Warren Road and Ritchie Road. 2, a strip of land varied in width containing approximately 1.464 acres of land, more or less situated in and being a part of the BBB and C RY survey, abstract number 157, McLennan County, Texas, and being part of the called 199.40 acre tract described in a deed to Louise Madden Earl, recorded in volume 429, page 573 of the official records of McLennan County, Texas, and being part of the Ritchie Road right-of-way that is adjacent to the property described in 1 above. And 3, a strip of land varied in width containing approximately 3.251 acres of land, more or less, situated in and being a part of the BBB and C Railway Survey, abstract number 157, McLennan County, Texas, and being a part of the called 199.4 acre tract described in a deed to Louise Madden Earl, recorded in volume 429, page 673 of the official records of McLennan County, Texas, and being part of Ritchie Road right-of-way that is adjacent to the property described in 1 above, and being located near the intersection of Warren Road and Ritchie Road, and further located within Waco's extraterritorial jurisdiction, which said territory lies adjacent to and adjoins the present boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas. Assigning the next territory to Council District Number 3, establishing City of Waco Precinct 55, which will consist of the annexed territory, directing that the city precinct district map be revised to reflect that change, providing a voting location at any City of Waco vote center, providing that said territory bears pro rata part of taxes and entitling inhabitants to all rights and privileges of citizens and binding inhabitants to acts and laws of the city, adopting a service plan, providing a severability clause, providing for publishing of the ordinance, providing penalties therefore, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on November 17th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porterrood,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes. That motion carries. We'll now move on to ordinance 2020-870.
An ordinance providing for the extension of certain boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas, and the annexation and designation of general industrials, the comprehensive plan land use designation, and the designation of M2 light industrial district zoning of certain territory, consisting of tract 1 being a 62.46 acre tract of land, situated in the Tomas de la Vega grant, abstract number 43, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of the remainder of that called 1,064.016 acre tract of land described in deed to Waco Industrial Foundation, as recorded in volume 1573, page 793 of the deed records of McLennan County, and tract 2 being a 9.2166 acre tract of land situated in the Tomas de la Vega grant, abstract number 43, McLennan County, Texas, and being all of that called 500 by 500 foot tract of land described in deed to Waco Industrial Foundation, as recorded in volume 398, page 183 of the official public records of McLennan County, and being located near US 84 and Aviation Parkway, and further located within Waco's extraterritorial jurisdiction, which said territory lies adjacent to and adjoins the present boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas, assigning the annexed territory to City Council District 1, establishing City of Waco Precinct 85, Tract Area 1, and 86, Tract Area 2, which will consist of the annexed territory, directing that the city precinct district map be revised to reflect that change and providing a voting location at any City of Waco vote center, providing that said territory bears pro rata part of taxes and entitled inhabitants to all rights and privileges of citizens, and binding inhabitants to acts and laws of the city, adopting a service plan, providing a severability clause, providing for publishing of the ordinance, providing penalties therefore, and finally determining the meaning at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on November 17th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes, that motion carries. We will now move on to ordinance 2020-871.
An ordinance providing for the extension of certain boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas, and the annexation designation of general industrial as the comprehensive plan land use designation, and the designation of M2 light industrial district zoning of certain territory described as Tract 1, being a 62.459 acre tract of land situated in the PM Maxwell Survey, Abstract 576, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of the remainder of that called 589.843 acre tract of land described as Tract 1 in deed to Waco Industrial Foundation, as recorded in volume 1338, page 485 of the deed records in McLennan County, Texas, and all of Lot 3, Block 3 of the Texas Central South Edition according to the final plat thereof, as recorded in McLennan County Clerk's File number 2001-039158 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, together with all of that called 1.56 acre tract of land, a portion of Wycon Drive, dedicated to the city of Waco by said plat. Tract 2, being a 34.132 tract of all of lots 3 through 5, Block 5 of the Texas Central South Edition, according to the final plat thereof, as recorded in McLennan County Clerk's File 2007-036280 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, together with all of that called 3.62 acre tract of land, dedicated to the city of Waco by said plat. And Tract 3, being a 63.322 acre tract of land situated in the Carlos Ocampo Grant, Abstract number 32, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of the remainder of that called 154.9 acre tract of land described in deed to the Waco Industrial Foundation, as recorded in McLennan County Clerk's File number 2005-011040 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and being located along Wycon Drive and Alliance Parkway, respectively, and further located within Waco's extraterritorial jurisdiction, which said territory lies adjacent to and adjoins the present boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas, assigning the annexed territory to the City Council District 3, establishing City of Waco Precinct 60, which will consist of the annexed territory, directing the city precinct district map be revised to reflect that change, and providing a voting location at any City of Waco vote center, providing that said territory bears pro rata part of taxes, and entitling inhabitants to all rights and privileges of citizens, and binding inhabitants to acts and laws of city, adopting a service plan, providing a severability clause, providing for publishing of ordinance, providing penalties thereof, and finding and terminating the meeting at which this ordinance is passed, open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on November 17, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porteroo,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabido,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes, that motion carries. We'll now move to ordinance 2020-872.
An ordinance amending section 1876A of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas to create a fire training lieutenant classified position grade 4 in the fire administration class, and establishing the authorized strength for such position at 1, and describing the number of fire alarm operator classified positions grade 4 in the telecommunications class from 5 to 4, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed, open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on November 17th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Motion for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think it's worth noting, and Bradley, correct me if I'm wrong, this is currently an open, just for the public, this is currently an open position. This isn't a role that's currently being held by someone. So someone didn't apply for a job thinking they were going to be doing one thing, and then we're switching their role on them. Bradley, is that correct?
That's correct. It's currently a vacant lieutenant position.
Beautiful.
Very good. Any other discussion? Please pull the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Porterud,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Meek.
Yes. That motion carries. Ordinance 2020-873.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, amending Section 1883 in Chapter 18 Personnel of said code, providing a number of police officers, police sergeants, police commanders, and assistant police chiefs authorized by the City Council, providing a savings clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed, open the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on November 17th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Motion for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion?
I
Yes.
just, go ahead, Kelly, go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I just wanted to say, I'm very excited about this ordinance. This, community policing is something that we have heard from our neighborhood associations that they want. And I would really want to commend staff on making it happen in this budget year. I know that there's a lot of different perceptions about our men and women in blue. But as we know, for this council, public safety is very, very important. And it's a priority. And so I'm very grateful that we are investing in our police force so our constituency can feel safer while at home, while they're walking down the street in their neighborhoods, et cetera, things like that. And so I'm just very excited that this is going through second reading.
All right. Well, I share a slightly different opinion and perspective. I want to start by saying I really applaud Waco PD for our approval or acceptance of 8 Can't Wait way before so many other communities across the nation did. I think that is really applaudable and reflects well on our police department. I think we've seen great work under Interim Chief Gench and under our former Chief Ryan Holt. We're in the midst of a really intense conversation about police brutality, particularly against our Black residents, and the way that we see immigration interface with criminal justice. As I've talked to community members, particularly our communities of color, I've heard a lot of pushback and fear that this community policing may have not been fleshed out fully. And so the idea of adding to our police force when we don't fully know what this is going to look like, and not knowing whether this is really going to achieve the outcomes that we're wanting of increased trust in our community, gives me pause to not want to push through this yet. So while I'm excited to see us move forward with race equity through a law enforcement lens and bringing on a police chief that will really help us move the needle, I'm not comfortable moving to approve this without seeing this plan further fleshed out.
I would like to echo Mayor Pro Tem Sabito in support of this ordinance. Councilmember Palmer, I hear what you're saying, and I know that there's a lot of unrest and unease right now, especially in dealing with our police force. But one of the things that I know for certain in conversations with not only our members of the community, being as our districts house the majority of Black and Brown constituents, that community policing in our neighborhoods has already worked. Not so long ago, but too long ago, when community policing was a part of an initiative from the Clinton administration, there was so much more personal one-to-one touch with officers because there was community policing. There were midnight basketball leagues. There was a big push in our schools. And so then there was true relational experiences with the community and particular officers, especially those who worked in and out of those beats in those neighborhoods. I think the problem that we have now is the incredible disconnect with the officers who are hired to protect and serve us, but because there is not a physicality, and even in COVID, a one-to-one touch, or knowing that there's going to be officer so-and-so coming in my community every day has taken away from the experiences that we can have and opportunities to build trust with our police officers. So I think that the only way that we can reestablish that is to do so by, hiring or allowing in our budget positions for community policing. Now, Bradley and former chief, now assistant city manager Holt, and I may not agree with that. I don't know that they should necessarily all be new ones, but new officers. But I do believe that it is imperative for us to take a position that we put, these officers and marry them back into our community, because we are but 24 hours from being on the news. Anything could happen at any point. And the only way we can do that is to take things like this, where we can have fiscal responsibility and fiscal authority to put operations and policies in place that, make a way for us to reestablish and rebuild our relationships between our PD and community. Because without it, we run a risk, and that's a risk that I know Waco can't afford to take. So, I will and adamantly support this ordinance, and look forward to our new chief coming on, and whoever he or she may be, and adopting the fact that when you come into Waco and marry Wacoans and you're a part of our community, and you look forward to building and growing with each and every one of us in each and every district, in each and every neighborhood and community, and be a part of who we are to protect and serve our people, which is what our officers do each and every day, and we're grateful for. But, we've got to strengthen this marriage in order for us to grow.
Absolutely. And to your point, my pushback is really in not seeing this fully fleshed out. So if we had policies that we had agreed upon saying, our police officers are living in North Waco, or are living East Waco, and then are on beat there, or are reflective of the racial demographics of their neighborhood, I would feel so much more comfortable saying, yes, this is something that's exciting. My fear with our current demographic makeup of our police force is if there's distrust between communities of color, and particularly white law enforcement, and we're adding more white law enforcement to those communities, will that breed the trust and the safety that we're wanting, or will that breed that sense of distrust? Could we bring in policies that talk about attending X number of community events and having the midnight basketball leagues? I love all those ideas. I just want to make sure that those are things that we have written into the DNA of these policies before we're approving them. And I realize where I am in the budget process. We've put the $1.5 million there. We've approved the 7 officers, but wanting to make sure that we're doing this really thoughtfully and intentionally, because community policing has been around a long time. And if it was a one size fit all, and if it was a silver bullet, we would have never stopped doing it. So just want to be sure that as we do it, since we've committed to doing this as a community, that we're doing it very precisely and very thoughtfully.
Any other discussion on this? I'll just say that I do look forward to this. I think that I definitely hear Councilmember Palmer, and do believe that we will work as a community to ensure that we continue to move forward in implementing good policies that build reciprocal trust between community members and officers, and that believe that this is I'm proud of our city and the steps that we've taken thus far as being a city that both supports our police and the good work that they do, and at the same time is always thinking critically and strategically about how we can continue to uplift and build up every corner of our community and build reciprocal trust that's genuine and real. And believe that that's the direction we're heading, and looking forward to continuing to move forward on that. If there is no other discussion, please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Palmer?
Nay.
Porterroot?
Yes.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Sabido?
Yes.
Meek?
Yes, that motion carries. Are there any council member reports, committees, boards, or commission liaison visits? I have a couple of things. One, I'd like to wish my daughter a happy birthday. She turned 4 years old today. So happy birthday to my daughter, Mabry. She's watching at home. And also before, on a more somber note, before we adjourned, as I mentioned at the beginning of the council meeting, on Sunday, Waco's first publicly elected mayor since 1948, Pat Patillo died at the age of 97. He was elected to be mayor from 1988 until 1990, and he was a longtime member of the Cooper Foundation Board and other local organizations. He served as a distinguished CPA with a well-known local firm bearing his name, as well as a faithful member of First Presbyterian Church. Although I didn't know him personally, former mayors Charles Reed, Mike Morrison, and Virginia Dupuy reached out to me to share how Mayor Patillo was always a great leader with a gentle touch. Charles Reed mentioned that Mayor Patillo is one of the nicest persons he'd ever met. Mayor Morrison said his service to the people of Waco was born of love. No one has ever heard him speak a word against any person. I consider him a model of common sense tempered by love. Wish I knew more like him. He was special, a role model we would all benefit from others following. I loved the man. And so I was thinking, man, what great words to honor one of our city's former mayors. So on behalf of the city, I just want his family to know how much we appreciate his service to our community in so many ways. There being no other business, we will adjourn at 7:02 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Great meeting.